The Christmas tree lights cast a warm glow across my parents' living room, where 31 family members had gathered for our traditional holiday celebration. Wrapping paper littered the floor around the massive tree, while the familiar sounds of children playing with new toys mixed with adult conversations about work, travel plans, and New Year's resolutions. I sat on the sofa near the fireplace, quietly opening presents and listening to the comfortable chaos that defined these annual gatherings. My sister Amanda, 35, perpetually confident in her business acumen despite a string of failed ventures, stood near the mantelpiece as if addressing a board of shareholders. She wore an expensive red dress that complemented her carefully styled hair and professional makeup, maintaining the polished appearance she had cultivated since completing her real estate license program 18 months ago. Before we finish opening presents, I have some exciting family news to share, Amanda declared, raising her wine glass to ensure she had everyone's full attention. The room gradually quieted as relatives turned from their conversations to focus on her presentation. I've made a major decision about the family's real estate investments, one that will benefit everyone involved. I continued unwrapping a book from my aunt, listening with the patient attention I'd learned to maintain during Amanda's frequent strategic initiatives. At 32, I had developed the habit of staying calm and observant during family gatherings, especially when Amanda was preparing to unveil one of her entrepreneurial plans. As you all know, Kevin owns that little duplex rental property on Maple Street, Amanda continued, gesturing toward me with her wine glass. It's been generating steady income for a few years, but honestly, it's not being managed to its full potential. With proper marketing, tenant screening, and maintenance coordination, the property could produce significantly more revenue. My cousin Robert, who worked in commercial real estate development, nodded with obvious interest. Property management is definitely specialized work. Are you talking about taking over the management responsibilities? Amanda's smile broadened as she prepared to reveal what she clearly considered a masterstroke. Actually, I've decided to take full ownership of the property. Kevin's never been particularly interested in real estate investment strategies, and I have the professional expertise and time to maximize its value. The casual announcement of property theft hung in the air for a moment before several relatives began murmuring approval. My uncle Tom, who owned 2 rental properties in the suburbs, nodded appreciatively. That makes a lot of sense. Real estate requires active management and industry knowledge. That rental property is mine now, Amanda declared with obvious satisfaction. Finally, someone who understands real estate management instead of just collecting checks. The room erupted in enthusiastic support for Amanda's decision. My mother clapped her hands together with genuine delight. This is wonderful. Amanda has such a good head for business, and Kevin's always been more interested in his government work than property management. My father nodded approvingly from his recliner near the tree. Smart family planning. Why let a valuable asset sit underutilized when someone with real expertise can maximize its potential? Cousin Jennifer, who had recently completed her MBA, looked genuinely impressed. That's excellent strategic thinking, Amanda. Property ownership requires dedicated attention and professional management skills that not everyone possesses. I opened my presents quietly and peacefully, maintaining my calm expression while listening to the family's overwhelming support for Amanda's announcement. They had no way of knowing that my little duplex was registered with the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network as a monitored asset under federal security protocols, or that any unauthorized ownership transfers would trigger automatic investigation procedures. Amanda had just announced her intention to commit federal property fraud involving assets belonging to someone with top-secret security clearance. What the family saw as practical resource allocation was, in reality, a confession to serious federal crimes that would result in years of prison time and permanent criminal records. My work as a senior intelligence analyst with the Department of Homeland Security's Financial Intelligence Unit required comprehensive disclosure and monitoring of all personal assets, including real estate investments. The duplex had been purchased through official channels with full federal oversight, and its ownership was protected under multiple security protocols designed to prevent exploitation or compromise of sensitive government personnel. The property transfer paperwork is already in progress, Amanda continued, basking in the family's admiration. I've been working with a real estate attorney to handle all the legal details. Kevin doesn't need to worry about any of the complicated procedures. My grandmother, who had always worried about my financial planning, reached over to pat my hand with obvious relief. "This is such a blessing, dear. Amanda will take good care of the property and make sure it generates proper income for the family." Uncle Tom raised his beer bottle in an impromptu toast. "Here's to Amanda's real estate expertise and Kevin's contribution to family wealth building. Smart asset management benefits everyone." The extended family joined the toast with genuine enthusiasm, celebrating what they believed was an example of effective family cooperation and strategic resource utilization. Amanda explained with obvious professional pride, "The current tenants are month to month, so I'll be able to implement proper lease agreements and market rate pricing immediately. I'm already researching comparable rental rates in the neighborhood and believe we can increase the monthly income by at least 40%. Cousin Robert leaned forward with clear interest. "What's your timeline for the ownership transfer and management transition?" "Everything should be finalized by the end of January," Amanda replied confidently. "The legal documentation is straightforward since it's staying within the family. I've already started marketing the property to higher quality tenant prospects." The conversation continued with Amanda fielding detailed questions about her management plans, renovation ideas, and income projections. She had clearly researched the local rental market and prepared comprehensive answers about property improvements, tenant screening procedures, and long-term investment strategies. What she hadn't researched were the federal laws governing unauthorized transfers of monitored government employee assets, or the automatic investigation protocols triggered when protected property shows signs of potential compromise or fraud. As the evening progressed, Amanda continued receiving congratulations and business advice from various family members. She explained her marketing strategy for finding premium tenants, described her plans for property improvements that would justify higher rent, and shared her vision for expanding into additional real estate investments using the duplex as a foundation. After the presents were opened and dinner was served, Amanda pulled me aside in the kitchen while other family members watched football and played with the children's new toys. Slightly flushed with wine and the excitement of family approval, her earlier professional confidence had softened into something more genuinely enthusiastic. "Kevin, I know this might seem sudden, but I've been thinking about this property transition for months," she said, adopting the patient tone she used when explaining business concepts to people she considered less sophisticated. "You've never shown real interest in property management or real estate investment strategies, and I have the professional training and industry connections to maximize the asset's potential." I continued drying dishes and loading them into the cabinet, maintaining my peaceful demeanor. "I'm sure you've put considerable thought into all aspects of this decision, Amanda." She seemed encouraged by my calm response and lack of objection to her unauthorized property seizure. "Exactly. This is really beneficial for both of us and the entire family. You can focus on your government work without worrying about tenant issues, maintenance problems, or market fluctuations. I'll handle all the complex management responsibilities and make sure the property generates optimal returns." I hung up the dish towel and turned to face her directly. "I hope your real estate venture proceeds according to your expectations, Amanda." Her smile widened with obvious relief that I wasn't going to create family drama by objecting to her perfectly reasonable business arrangement. "I knew you'd understand once you thought about it logically. The property transfer will be handled professionally through proper legal channels, and I'll make sure you receive detailed reports about income and expenses." Monday morning arrived with the crisp December air that made Washington, D.C., feel particularly official and governmental. I arrived at the Department of Homeland Security building by 7:20 a.m. to begin another week of analyzing financial intelligence reports related to terrorist financing networks and money laundering operations targeting critical infrastructure. My position as a senior intelligence analyst required maintaining comprehensive awareness of financial crime patterns that might indicate threats to national security. The work involved coordinating with FBI counterterrorism units, Treasury Department financial intelligence divisions, and CIA analysts tracking international money flows that could support hostile activities against the United States. At 10:33 a.m., my secure phone buzzed with a call from my immediate supervisor, Deputy Director Sarah Martinez, who oversaw our financial intelligence analysis section and maintained direct communication with senior leadership about potential security threats. "Kevin, I need you in my office immediately," Deputy Director Martinez said in a tone that indicated a significant security matter had developed overnight. I walked through the secured corridors to her office, passing classified briefing rooms where other analysts were preparing intelligence reports for senior policymakers. Her office featured reinforced windows overlooking the Potomac River and sophisticated communication equipment for coordinating with other federal agencies. "Sit down," Deputy Director Martinez said, activating additional security measures to ensure complete privacy for sensitive conversations. "Our automated monitoring systems flagged an attempted ownership transfer of your rental property by someone claiming family authorization." She opened a classified file containing copies of legal documents that showed Amanda's signature alongside forged versions of my own on property transfer agreements. "The transfer was initiated by Amanda Johnson, who represented herself as your authorized family representative with power of attorney to handle real estate transactions." I reviewed the documents, which clearly showed Amanda had submitted comprehensive paperwork to transfer ownership of my duplex to herself, including falsified authorization documents and fraudulent property transfer agreements with multiple government agencies. Deputy Director Martinez, "Amanda Johnson is my sister. I did not authorize her to transfer ownership of my property or represent herself as my legal representative for any real estate transactions." Her expression shifted from procedural concern to serious security focus as the implications became clear. "So this is property fraud targeting a senior intelligence analyst with access to classified financial intelligence that triggers immediate FBI involvement and potential national security investigation protocols." She secured the documents in the classified file. "Kevin, I need to ask directly. Did you have any knowledge of your sister's property transfer activities or any discussions about family real estate arrangements?" "I learned about Amanda's intentions at our family Christmas gathering when she announced to 31 relatives that she was taking ownership of my property. Most family members congratulated her on her business acumen and strategic resource utilization." Deputy Director Martinez stared at me with the expression of someone who had overseen financial intelligence operations for 12 years and still encountered new examples of criminal behavior combined with complete ignorance of federal security protocols. She announced federal property fraud at a family Christmas party with multiple witnesses present. 31 witnesses, I said. Several relatives specifically praised her for understanding real estate management better than I did. She reached for her secure phone to initiate coordination with federal law enforcement agencies. "Kevin, this requires immediate federal investigation under enhanced security protocols. Property fraud targeting intelligence personnel could indicate broader security threats or compromise attempts." At 2:45 p.m., Special Agent Michael Sullivan from the FBI's Counterintelligence Division arrived at DHS headquarters to coordinate the federal investigation. Agent Sullivan specialized in cases involving potential threats to intelligence personnel and had extensive experience with crimes targeting government employees with access to classified information. "Agent Johnson, I understand your sister has attempted an unauthorized transfer of your monitored property," Agent Sullivan said as we met in a secure conference room equipped with additional counterintelligence protection measures. "Given your access to sensitive financial intelligence, we need to determine whether this represents isolated criminal behavior or potential hostile targeting of intelligence personnel." I provided a detailed account of Amanda's Christmas announcement and the family's enthusiastic support for her property seizure plan. Agent Sullivan took comprehensive notes and asked pointed questions about which family members had knowledge of my government employment and security clearance status. This could represent either simple criminal fraud or a more sophisticated compromise attempt using family members as unwitting assets, he observed after reviewing my statement. "We'll need to conduct a comprehensive investigation of your sister's activities, associates, and potential connections to hostile intelligence services." He closed his notebook and fixed me with the serious expression reserved for potential national security threats. "We'll be executing federal search warrants at your sister's residence and business locations within the next 2 hours. Given the implications, this investigation will proceed under enhanced protocols with full counterintelligence support." At 5:12 p.m., my phone rang. Amanda's name flashed on the screen. Her voice was panicked. "Kevin, federal agents just surrounded my house with black SUVs and badges. They are saying I committed federal crimes, national security violations and property fraud targeting intelligence personnel." I was completing my daily intelligence reports and preparing for tomorrow's coordination meeting with FBI counterterrorism analysts. Through my office window, I could see colleagues leaving for the day. That sounds very serious, Amanda, I said evenly. What specifically are they telling you? They have warrants for everything: my computers, business records, financial documents, even correspondence, she said, her voice breaking. They are asking about property fraud, unauthorized asset transfers, and possible compromise of classified personnel. At 5:07 p.m., 4 federal agents had indeed arrived at Amanda's home: 2 FBI counterintelligence agents, 1 DHS internal security investigator, and 1 Treasury Department criminal investigator. Their warrants authorized seizure of all materials related to the fraud and potential security breaches. Amanda, I said calmly, you announced at Christmas that you were taking ownership of my property without authorization. That constitutes federal property fraud targeting a senior intelligence analyst with access to classified systems. But it's just family real estate management, she cried. I thought family members could help each other with property investments. Federal law doesn't recognize family ties as authorization for fraudulent property transfers involving monitored government assets, I replied. You committed crimes targeting someone with access to national security intelligence, which triggers enhanced penalties and mandatory counterintelligence investigation. The line went quiet except for her shallow breathing and the muffled voices of agents explaining search procedures. Kevin, you have to stop this. Tell them this was all just family cooperation and business planning. I cannot stop a federal investigation with national security implications. You announced your crimes in front of 31 witnesses. Agent Sullivan is now explaining federal arrest procedures to you. The best thing you can do is cooperate fully and retain qualified federal defense counsel. At 7:18 p.m., Amanda was arrested and charged with federal property fraud, wire fraud, attempted theft of monitored government assets, and violations of national security protocols. She was processed into federal detention under enhanced security procedures. The charges were severe. Property fraud targeting intelligence personnel carries enhanced sentencing guidelines. Wire fraud involving monitored government assets can bring 20 years in prison. Security violations added further penalties. Amanda's real estate attorney was investigated for facilitating the fraud. Their license was suspended and practice shut down. Amanda's own real estate license was revoked, her business permanently closed. My family's reaction was predictably defensive. My mother called repeatedly, demanding I explain to my supervisors that Amanda's actions were motivated by family cooperation, not criminal intent. But national security law doesn't bend for family excuses. At arraignment, Amanda stood in court wearing detention clothing, visibly exhausted. Her court-appointed federal defender explained the charges carried mandatory minimums. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence: Amanda's recorded Christmas announcement, testimony from 31 relatives, fraudulent transfer documents, and expert testimony from DHS officials. The judge denied bail, citing national security concerns and flight risk. During pre-trial investigation, agents discovered Amanda had researched my government work and clearance status in detail. Her computer showed searches on DHS personnel, employee asset monitoring, and methods for transferring federal property, clear signs of premeditation. Facing overwhelming evidence and the risk of decades in prison, Amanda took a plea deal. She was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years supervised release, barred permanently from real estate or financial industries. The judge also ordered $134,000 in restitution to cover investigation and counterintelligence costs. My DHS position was unaffected, though my clearance underwent thorough re-review, and my asset monitoring was tightened. Federal investigators ensured Amanda's crimes had not compromised classified operations. Family traditions changed forever. Multiple relatives received subpoenas, gave sworn testimony, and some even faced their own investigations after making inappropriate inquiries about my work. Christmas gatherings are now restricted to security-cleared relatives who understand the rules. Amanda will remain incarcerated under enhanced supervision until her sentence is complete. She occasionally writes letters, still struggling to grasp why family property management led to federal prison. I cannot respond. Federal employees are prohibited from contact with convicted relatives who targeted intelligence personnel. The duplex remains where it belongs, under strict federal protection, registered as a monitored asset of someone with access to classified financial intelligence. Amanda's real estate career is over, her name now part of federal records documenting crimes against national security. Some lessons are only learned the hard way, through prison, revoked freedoms, and permanent restrictions. Amanda chose to test the system. The system responded exactly as designed.